Hello everyone, Namaste. I am Ramnath who would like to present a topic on how to analyze various things in our day-to-day life using the knowledge from cognitive analysis. So uh, this is based on the brain, the story of you, and some other topics which I have collated from different articles from internet. So the topic is get it now versus impact of future, a cognitive analysis. Hope you will find it interesting. Thank you. Before going to the specific topic of interest, I would like to consider the most well-known circuit, the op-amp, operational amplifier. This is the symbolic diagram where this is V in 1 is the input, V in 2 is the another input, V out is the output. So for this to operate, there should be power supply and ground. Okay, so this is called negative supply, positive. And the circuit diagram of this in MOS implementation is in this fashion. So here also V in 1 and V in 2 is here, and supplies are here just like this. So V out is specified here. Okay, so if you observe, so if you provide, this is a common source configuration, same here. So if you in the small signal mode, if you give small input, the inversion of this is found here. So that is why this is called an inverting terminal, shown here as negative. One similar way, this is also common source configuration, and if you provide small signal input, you will get the inverse of it. But however, based on the collection of the input, you will see that this is minus and positive. So you will see that this output is final output. What is collected here is actually the opposite of it, same as that of the Vin 2. So this is called non-inverting input. That is why it is shown as in the symbolic way positive. So if you give some voltage, same voltage in a magnified form you will see here. That's why it is non-inverting. Here if you apply same voltage, similar signal, because of its inverting nature, the amplified but inverting nature of the output will be seen. So then when both voltages are applied, what will be seen is based on which one will find its way, which one will dominate. So this is the configuration, and aside to this one, I have also want to include some more items like a substrate bias. Okay, so here you will see that the MOS devices substrates also can be controlled. Based on this, you can also control the operation of the devices. So that will be shown symbolically in this fashion. Okay, aside to that, we can also show that the feedback resistor is connected between output terminal to the input terminal. Okay, so that is how the high open loop gain of the op amp will be controlled through the feedback resistor. Okay, in the same way, in the symbolic view, it will also be shown in this fashion. Okay, output, this one, and the feedback resistor, this one, and here this one. Okay, so this is how the equivalent circuits are configured. Okay, now we will go to the next part. Let us apply the same op-amp kind of principles even to study the decisions how we make in our day-to-day life. Okay, so as I was mentioning earlier also, I came across this book, The Brain, the Story of You, which when I was reading, I found many points which are worth considering and had so much impact on how we process the things daily. So one very important concept which gave me more interest is the Ulysses contract. Okay, Ulysses and Odyssey both are same. I'll come to those details in the next part. So here you will find that the mind, uh, there are few things which are very common, which I represented. Okay, this is the one input here, same input, get it now, and another input V into it is impact of future. So these are the two inputs similar to here, and there are resistances here. Similarly, we have values filter. Okay, or you can consider as sometimes inertia. So because of these things, and there are one more feedback resistor which is called ego, similar to this feedback resistor, and the output voltage is same as outcome. Okay, now aside to these power supplies, okay, we have V sub and VDD, VSS, we have place, time, and state of mind. These three items also decide how the outcome is happening. Okay, so even if the same signals are applied at the or one signal, assume that impact of future is not considered and only the get it now force is dominantly pushed into the based on the place or time or state of mind, the outcome will differ. Okay, and how ego will come into play will come to know, and see based on the outcome, assume that you are pushing something to satisfy the immediate urges or cravings, then the outcome whatever is coming will give dopamine and feeds back through the ego. In the same way, if you are doing good items based on considering various impacts of future, the outcome will come, and that outcome will also give dopamine, which will again have will influence through the ego, and it will sometimes fortify the ego, and it will again act like a positive feedback. So this is the main thing I want to discuss, and the state of mind also plays a dominant role. Okay, so keep yourself grounded as long as it is possible is really makes a big difference, and it depends upon the mature person. And especially in the case of get it now, seduction of immediate satisfaction or craving plays a dominant role in the decision making. So especially when you are taking quick decisions, assume you are gone into a mall and you see something and you just wanted to buy it. Okay, that is when get it now is playing a role. Okay, and once you bought it, sometimes what happens is like because you bought it, you will feel sometimes based on your ego or something, uh, which we will discuss. So it will give off dopamine, and it will it will increase the ego. And ego here is a healthy ego and non-healthy ego. And if you are based on your state of mind, if you are not if you are craving for immediate satisfactions and are not bothered about the impact of future, then it will lead to unhealthy ego. And this dopamine which is coming back, it will increase the unhealthy ego. Okay, we will discuss more in the coming slides. Thank you. From a psychological perspective, ego refers to a person's sense of self-esteem, self-importance, and self-worth. The ego ideally maintains a balance, satisfying our needs and desires while respecting societal norms. So don't consider ego is always bad. Okay, ego usually can be healthy ego or unhealthy ego. Okay, the most basic meaning word of the ego is that it refers to the I, that is capable of referencing the self, and it helps making decisions for it. Okay, the ego tries to maintain a consistent, justifiable place in the world by stating mistakes were made but not by me. Okay, it will always try to do this. That is why it will ensure that the person is justified and he is not making any mistakes, and he doesn't need any punishments. Okay, so you may have heard so many occasions people will throw the blame on circumstances and other people, so that no, they are not seen as the culprits. So they want to escape and finally want to fit into the society. How they will be fit into society, how they will be viewed by the other person, sometimes they don't care or they don't perceive it. So the human ego is the mental organ of justification, where its job is to make sure you are justified. Okay, the person is justified. Ego is protecting the human being in its own way. Okay, so the mental organ refers to the various systems actually. Okay, that makes up the mind. So for example, if you take the vision system, then you will understand that eyes, occipital lobe of the brain, can be framed as mental organ of the visual system. Similarly, ego also has mental organ. Okay, so we should ensure that this whole thing works. Ego works for the betterment of the society. Our ego. So if you go back to the cognitive analysis of how the immediate satisfaction urge will play, and considering the impact of the future will play a role, we will know that whether either one or both are applied to our mental uh, makeup, then what happens is like the outcome will release a dopamine that will influence the ego. So this ego, if we are this mind is making decisions based on the immediate cravings, then it will increase the unhealthy ego. So the unhealthy ego means which seeks to serve itself, which seeks outward recognition. Okay, so all these things it will try to increase. That means like it will uh, unknowingly uh, make the other person more and more self-centered. Okay, because he will be thinking the whole world is a competition. Okay, so this it will lead to unhealthy ego. And coming to the healthy ego, if you do good activities and improving the society and your family and all, then what happens is like the outcome, assume you are finding good outcome, then it will also increase the healthy ego, because the endorphins, dopamine, what is released, it will increase the ego, that is healthy ego, it will increase. So you will feel that you are a valuable contributor, and you will be aware that you are capable of doing more, and you can take more risks in future to see how the your contributions will be more yeah, valuable and more effective. Thus, in both cases, the healthy ego or unhealthy ego play a vital role, and by taming it, uh, based on the outcome, we can sometimes increase the healthy ego or decrease the healthy ego. Okay, here I also want to mention that based on place or time or state of mind, the outcome will also differ. Okay, assume that in Jamtara serial kind of things, if a bad person wanted to take money out of somebody else, assume that at that point of time, if he sees a police officer, then he will stop doing that activity. He will act as though that he is a good person. Okay, similarly, the place also matters. That means like the same activity, what he wanted to do, like cheating the other person through fake calls and all. If he is in a police station and he has the same mobile phone, then he will not do. So the place, time, and the state of mind. Assume that a person who is doing a good activities, if he is in a bad company, then it will he will tend to do the good activities less because of the state of mind. Or if he is in a dejected mode, he will this is the which will affect the state of mind. He will do less of good things. Okay, so in both cases, either in the immediate satisfaction, craving for the immediate needs, or impact of future, these are all controlled by values. Okay, how one uses these things will differ. Okay, but everybody knows about the value system. Whether they honor, that differs. The power of now explains why people make decisions that feel good in the moment of heat but might have lousy consequences in the future. We will analyze the situation of a person who lived in the past and he wanted to relish the seduction of the now and wanted to enjoy the temptation but still wished to come out sanely after that event. So this is a mythological story about Odysseus, who was also called by Romans as Ulysses, and he participated in the Trojan War along with many other kings to bring back Helen of Troy, who eloped with Trojan prince Paris. The Odyssey was probably a popular story which was transmitted down the generations orally. However, Homer wrote that in one narrative. The Romans transformed the name Odysseus to Ulysses, and that is how he is most known today all over the world. On his way back from the triumph in Trojan War, Ulysses and his men sailed for days without sight of land. Not before long, though, a strange, disquieting sounds reached the ears of the men aboard the ship. Ulysses instantaneously realized that they were approaching the sirens, that Circe, the enchantress and the powerful sorceress, had warned him about. Circe also warned uh, Ulysses about the sirens. So the sirens, she described that will enchant all those who come near them. If you see here, it is mentioned that next where the sirens dwells, you plow the sea. She was saying that don't stop near the sirens. And the sirens were these people uh, who have body shapes and sometimes wings, and they can fly and all. So they basically entice people, and sometimes they will sing and play musical instruments and call them. Once they go, the people will be killed. Okay, so it is mentioned here that their song is death and makes destruction place. Unblessed the man whom music wins to stay. Okay, she continued and mentioned that if you go to the shore and try to listen to them, you will become a dead person. And she was also mentioning that fly swift the dangerous coast, let every ear of the men be stopped against the song. That means like she was telling that somehow get their ears be tied and they will not be able to hear anything. If you see here, their ears are tied with cloth here. Okay, and only his ears were open so that he can listen to these siren sounds and musical instruments they play. Firm to the mast with the chains thyself be bound. She was also mentioning that tie your hands with, that means like these people should tie him to a mast and with the ropes tightly so that he cannot, even though he listens to them, he cannot either jump into the ocean and go and reach them. So this is so he is trying to get and be part of the seduction, but he's still not able to make any additional move. Okay, and the Circe was also mentioning that firm nor trust thy virtue to the enchanting sound. That means like you might have some good virtues that even if you go near them, you will still be sane and all. Don't trust your good virtues. That means like don't try to bet on those things. So these are some of the warnings which Circe has given to Ulysses. We will study one more uh, interesting case where one has figured out that he has to perform a specific action by analyzing what is the impact of future, and he was about to do that activity, but because of the place, time, the person's state of mind got changed because of the see, because the person sees the actual situation and then he will uh, think that it is not wise to move ahead. Okay, so I'll give more details on this. So if you observe here, Arjuna wanted to fight Mahabharata war. Many of you already know why. And he came to the war field, and when he see the actual people, then he will think that he will be killing those people, and hence he will get some sin, and he will be the main responsible person for killing them, and with the further consequences of that. Okay, so he will once he sees that one, his future action will get tainted, and he will withdraw from uh, doing the mm, supposed action. So that is the same thing which sometimes the shopkeepers would us, even though we have intentions not buying things, by asking us to come into the shop and then showing the items and making us feel the items. So they will keep the trial robes and other things and ask us to wear it and try the necklaces and shirts and other items, or go for a test drive, and thus they will change our thought process. Okay, so if we are somewhat wavering, they will shift that. So this is how the impact of the future can be influenced by the actual uh, data, which might change our situation. So here, same thing happens to Arjuna. Arjuna is giving specific reasons to Krishna why he is not going to wage war against Bhishma, Drona, Duryodhana, and others. So he is stating specific reasons such as these.
Arjuna uvacha katham bhishmamaham sankhye dronam cha madhusudana kishubhi pratiyosyami pujarha varisudana.
So it means, O Madhusudana, shall I fight in battle with arrows against Bhishma and Drona, who are fit to be worshipped? How can I do that, O destroyer of enemies?
गुरुणः स्वाहि महानुभावान् श्रेयो भोक्तुं वैक्षमपेह लोके सत्त्वार्थकामास्तु गुरूनिहैव भुञ्जीय भोगान् रुधिरप्रदिग्धान्.
He was mentioning that better it is indeed in this world to accept alms than to slay the most noble teachers and grandfather. So he was saying that if I kill them, even in this world, all my enjoyments of wealth and fulfilled desires will be stained with blood.
अर्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यां निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
So it means my heart is overpowered by the taint of pity. My mind is confused as to duty. I ask you, tell me decisively what is good for me. I am your disciple. Instruct me who has taken refuge in you. So this is the wonderful stroke what uh, Arjuna has done, even though he is in a bad state of mind. So what it says is, so I am your disciple. So that means like I am your, please tell me what I should do. Okay, instruct me, and I have come to your refuge. So please give me good decisions and tell me what I should do. So this is the most important part. Whenever someone is in a confused state, they should ask someone who is more knowledgeable than him for advice, and they should trust the other person. Here, one more point is the person whom they are approaching should not have any self-interest in the other person's growth.
श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वम् प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासु न गतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिताः.
So Krishna is saying that you have received, you have grieved for those that should not be grieved for. Yet you speak words of wisdom. The wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead. So he was mentioning that Arjuna try to come out of this bad situation, as the people whom you will be killing or you thought of killing have uh, ultimately are already died.
स्वधर्ममपि चावेक्ष्य न विकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्म्याद्ययुद्धात्रेयोऽन्यत् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते.
It means further, having regard to your duty, you should not waver, for there is nothing higher for a Kshatriya than a righteous war. So even it is applicable for our situation also. When we have a duty to perform, for that we should not waver, and we should keep on doing and progressing in a righteous manner.
अतते त्वमिमं धर्म्यं सङ्ग्रामं न करिष्यसि ततस्त्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापमवाप्स्यसि.
It means, but if you don't fight this righteous war, then having abandoned your own duty and fame, you shall incur sin. So Krishna is also mentioning to Arjuna that you have to do this righteous war and fight for justice. So you should not abandon your duty. Otherwise, you will incur sin. So he was also mentioning what would have happened if you do not perform your duty. So in this fashion, one should evaluate the action to be taken and thus process in the brain and how the current action would lead to future outcome. So these values filters are the ones which are mainly controlled by the senses. Okay, so if you see value senses, there are 6 values, 6 ways of controlling the senses. Actually, there are more, but here we are listing only a few of them. So through vichara, we can control, that means like through inquiry and by checking out different ways of possibilities and checking the outcomes, and by willpower, by kumbhuka, that means retention of breath in pranayama, by dhamma means by restraint, by pratyahara means abstention or sense withdrawal, by vairagya and tyaga, dispassion and renunciation. So by some of these, based on the situation, we should be able to control the actions and then thus get the desired outcome. Thus we will also improve the healthy ego. So also note that senses cannot do anything if the mind is not connected with them. In the sense, like sometimes no, when we are reading or engrossed in a specific activity, sometimes some noises or some information or light sensation will not be perceived by us, even though our we are in that state place. So this is because the mind is engrossed in something else and not connected with the senses data. And in some other situations, when the decisions are made based on sound reasoning, still sometimes no, at times uh, we will be changing our decision making because we experience senses stimuli on based on real time and with actual products. So we have to be very careful about these things. So that is why sometimes no Ulysses contract should be pursued. Okay, what it means is like when you might become weak, make sure you will not be able to reach to the temptation. So you should also be going with the right set of people so that you will not be able to do that. Okay, preferably you should do the uh, abstention, withdrawal by pratyahara. This one. So structure your future self under the situations on which you have control so that the present behaves in an expected manner. This is important. So another thing is, uh, say we have to keep our body and mind in a strong manner. In the sense, na ayam atma balahinena labhya means so only a strong mind and body will be able to reach the good Atma. And hence we need to be able to keep it. In some uh, scenarios where different judgments based on the mood of the judge because of different time frames where he experiences. Sometimes it is at the some cases come same cases come at the fag end of the time uh, where the lunch is about to start or one important event is about to start. So these kind of situations will change the outcome of the judgment. Even sometimes we used to tell in the childhood that same evaluator's mood will change and we will get different marks in our examination paper. So there is some truth behind this and statistically this is correct. Okay, so we need to pay attention to those things. So we have to use these methods to get the desired outcome in our life so that no, we will be good contributors in the society. Thank you.